World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's so dangerous. You're risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to World Pro Racing. Yes, it's Mega Sprint Tuesday. We're taking you to Silverstone here at World Pro Racing to take you through some quick and exciting action for your night's entertainment. Of course, wherever you are watching, of course, welcome along to the stream. Myself, Kieran McGinley, and Nico Hillerbrand will be along to take you through tonight's proceedings. A big thank you to our sponsors in Gaming Malta, AMD, HyperX, GT Omega, and Thrustmaster. And wherever you are watching, whether it be on YouTube, on Twitch, maybe you're watching on ESTV, Motorsport TV, TVM Sport, it's great to have you along, and we hope you enjoy tonight's action. And of course, Nico Hillerbrand alongside me tonight to bring you the action. Nico, it's great to have you back. Long time no see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute eternity, and it's great to be working alongside you again, Kieran.
It's absolutely right. Well, you won't be saying that after this event, but I digress. Tonight, we've got 6 minutes of qualifying coming up then. 20-minute races, 3 of them to be precise, to get just through that action. And the point scoring, well, the winner gets 30 points, and then the one who finishes in 30th place gets 1 point. So 1 point margins for every single position means you're going to have to be very consistently near the top to have a good chance in this sort of sprint series event. But when it's short, sharp racing, Nico, you're a racing driver, I'm going to call you that. When it's short, sharp racing, how does that affect your mentality going into it?
I think especially with 3 20-minute races and a very short qualifying session, especially since it's sim racing, you know, we don't have to worry about repair bills here, so to say. I think it's going to be a lot of very hard racing. I think it's going to be late moves. It's going to be a lot of mental games, and people will be pushing on the absolute limit, and I'm absolutely looking forward to that.
And 6 minutes of qualifying, that's probably going to mean that every single driver will be out there desperately trying to find some sort of space out on track. I'm hardly thinking anybody's not going to be out of the pit lane straight away, especially with that 6 minutes to try and find yourself a gap at this Silverstone circuit with at least 20-25 cars out there.
Yeah, if you get it perfectly right, maybe you get even 3 runs, but that is all dependent on if you're fast enough, if you get clean air, and of course, if you can get that error-free.
Yeah, error-free as well. And when we come to Silverstone, it's called the home of Formula One, the birthplace of Formula One, and it's got a lot of history down the years. As recently as 2010, the work started on this new paddock building that we've got now, the newly named Hamilton Straight. So it's a bit of a different layout. We go right at Abbey instead of left, and Abbey's now the first corner rather than halfway round the track. I mean, you've probably driven on the pre-2009, pre-2008 circuit before, Nico. How do you really find the differences between these two tracks?
It's quite difficult to say because obviously with Bridge, it's an older layout, of course, and who doesn't love Bridge? You know, who's ever driven it in any sort of game? It's a very fast, you know, downhill and then back uphill. Right-hander and then the left-hander. It's very iconic, but at the same time, I think with the addition of the long, I think Wellington Straight it is, that you have a DRS zone in, it's another great overtaking opportunity.
Definitely, and it gives us that run in towards Brooklands and then towards Luffield in a slightly different way, but it's established itself over the last 10 years as a permanent fixture to Silverstone, and there's been a couple of doubts about the track's future. Fully secured, though, for the next few years at the very least. It's great to see it all the way there in Northamptonshire, or depending on which side of the border you're on. It goes through 2 districts there up in the north, so it's quite interesting to see that one play out. However, focusing on the racing, 18 turns takes us around about 5.4 kilometres. It's a long circuit. Tyre wear is going to be critical here, but I suppose in a sprint race, that's not going to matter too much.
Yeah, it depends. If you completely overdrive your car, tire tearing, of course, will come into effect. And even when it's not that much to begin with, graining also, you definitely feel the difference. It's a very advanced tire model in ACC, and people have to be careful that they don't overdrive their cars too early.
Yeah, that's going to be an important one as well. Tyre temperatures, as you were saying, relates to that graining. So we'll have to see how the drivers face with that in those stages of the race. And of course, Mega Sprint Tuesdays, We have, of course, got as well in the pipeline, announced just today, the ACC Sprint Series Season 3 coming back with a few rule changes. And, well, it's going to be very, very exciting. €500 prize pool for the top performers in that one. And the most important thing, compared to the other 2 seasons, is that one car you get to pick, and that's your car for the 5 races. So before then, you could choose any car for any track. But when you come to Season 3, if you enter, you have to pick the one car, and that's that. That's your car for the event. And Nico, you had your hand in the ACC Sprint Series for the past 2 seasons. I mean, how did you find it?
Well, it's very competitive, of course. You know, you're constantly fighting for every tenth of a second that you can find. In the first season, sadly, due to technological issues, thanks to a certain operating system on PC, I couldn't really take part. But the second season, it's been definitely quite a blast. And so for the 3rd season, to see everyone limited to one car, having to make compromises, having to you know, adjust the car to the track and not, you know, the car preference to the track, it's going to be quite interesting, I think.
It'll add a whole nother dilemma into which car do you actually pick in the long run. Well, we've got an opportunity now to head to the track to see the drivers out there. So let's take you to that Silverstone circuit and get started here with Mega Sprint Tuesdays. And we first come off with David Ohak then in the DJ Racing number 13 Ferrari as he now makes his way now through the final couple of corners. And Nico coming through Club Corner and the newly named Hamilton Straight. Let's see what he can do on this lap as he makes his way towards the line. Then in this free practice session, of course you can tell it's a free practice session because it's nowhere near as hectic as the qualifying session we are predicting will be.
Yeah, definitely. There's still, even, you know, if it's just free driving, and the same will be for qualifying, but here it's absolutely free driving. There's no back thoughts that you constantly have about, you know, of course you want to start as far in the front as possible, and of course for that you will have to do a good lap, and here it's still just, you know, tuning the car in, getting that best lap together, maybe finding a couple tenths, maybe finding some tips and tricks that you can use for your qualifying lap later. But yeah, of course people are still a lot more relaxed here, but look at how filled up the track is.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very busy qualifying session. And if I've deciphered that right, all those dots you can see there that have got that blue tinge to them are on a flying lap. All of those on a grey sort of tinge are on an out lap. At least that's what I think it is anyway. David Ohak comes back to the old pit lane, decides to come back into the pit lane from that way. But there is Hamada Akizi now making his way through the this right-left section through Abbey and then through Farm Corner as he then makes his way onwards towards Village. And it's such a tough braking opportunity, this one. Perfect opportunity to maybe sling a move down the inside. You've got the loop then coming through here. Really have to tighten up the steering there. Slowest corner on this entire track as we then make our way through Aintree and then down the Wellington Straight to take our way towards Brooklands once again. Riding on board with Hamada Akizi, currently 57.054 is his fastest, but he's back down to this one, as you can see, just on that race logic timer, about 7 minutes on his clock so far, so he's clearly winding up to go for one run here, as he makes his way through that final couple of corners at Luffield.
And at the moment his fastest time, 57.054, very fast overall. I mean, the fastest I've seen so far on, well, colder tracks and a more worn-in track, because of course the track set here, you can see it in the top right of the screen, optimum. That of course isn't the true optimum, because in these track states, of course, it's not just one track state, it's always a dynamic track, and when you have, well, around 30 cars driving around, it's still a climbing value. So it starts off at fast or at green, then it slowly builds up, it becomes faster and faster, then it changes to fast on that display, becomes faster and faster, goes further up to optimum, and even then there's still around a second that you can find. So I think we haven't seen the true pace of Akizi and the others yet.
Yeah, with 20 odd cars going around the track, just putting some rubber down, you'll expect to see them setting some faster and faster times going through this session as Akizi now takes us around the new complex. But it's not the start-finish line here for today's event, as we now make our way through Club Corner and now down the Hamilton Straight. You can see the new complex on the right-hand side. You prepare yourself then for Abbey and Farm through the right and left, trying to get onto that curb as much as you possibly can to open up Abbey there. Try and carry as much speed through as you possibly can, making our way now up towards Village then through this right-hander. Lots of sausage curb on the right-hand side as Hamada Akizi runs deep into Village then, has to try and recover the car to go through the loop, but that's not going to help his lap time here in this practice session.
Yeah, definitely not, especially on that right-hand hairpin. The track limits there are quite, well, restrictive, so to say. At that point, it's already invalid, but you mentioned earlier, it's a great place for a move down the inside, but we see how wide it is, how wide the entry to that corner is. You can even try to make a move around the outside there, and then just maneuver yourself for a perfect position into the left-hand hairpin that comes right after that, and that is always these tactics. You have so many different lines you can take here, and even here, through Maggots and Beckett's, it is definitely something that, fittingly, you know, in the Bentley here, Sheldon's got Muscat, you can throw that car into these corners like no other, and it's definitely just such an incredible feeling.
It really is. There is Czarnecki, Artur Czarnecki, making his way now through Maggots and Beckett's in the 3M Racing, number 44 Ferrari. The man from Poland makes his way through now into that instantly recognisable chicane snake section, making our way now on through Chapel and down the Hangar Straight, making our way all the way towards Stowe Corner. And you can see that he's just trying to find some clear air, moving to the left-hand side of the track as far as he possibly can, again to try and carry that speed going through Stowe Corner. Doesn't look like he's on a flying lap at the moment, just looking to try and get some clear air out on track. And yeah, that's going to be a common theme for this upcoming qualifying session. We haven't even got every single car out there at the moment. There is Clayt Bani then in the Odyssey Racing 87 McLaren, making his way now through in towards Luffield, and then back onto the power through the final corner at Woodcote to get himself towards the start finish line. Currently on that 57.8 so far. Can he get even higher up the order in this practice session? 57.4 was his last lap time, but it was not a valid lap time, so it will not count.
Yeah, very difficult, of course, because we have these tarmac runoffs here. We have, well, as we saw earlier, you know, he was running on the inside curb there, and you really just have to know the perfect tolerance for that, you know? You just have to find that limit, how far you can go, and there we can see it from Jan-Niklas Erbrich in the Lamborghini with a 299, making up now to a nice 9th place, 58.254. I think one of the things as well that we have to consider right now, 58.254, that is basically, especially for sprint races, that's a race lap time. But when you go down with the fuel, you can do these 57s, even 56s when the track grip is alright. So we also have to consider who's currently on race practice maybe, and maybe who is just trying to find the perfect laps, or well, the perfect line, the perfect little advantage for qualifying already.
There you go. There's Sandro Zara then in the Open for Offers Honda, the number 12 there. A good bit of advertising for himself then as we now make our way through in towards Village then through this right-hander. And you're a bit surprised then, Nico, to see Sandro pick this Honda.
Yeah, definitely. The Honda is one of the cars, well, not even, you know, really like a bad car. It's just a big wild card because, you know, obviously we have GT3 cars here. BOP is very, very relative to the different tracks. And the Honda, I say, is one of the most, you know, the cars that has the biggest, like, variation in that. Because especially at European tracks like Silverstone and all that, normally people just don't really like to pick the Honda. They prefer to pick it at the Intercontinental GT pack tracks, you know? Because the Honda there at Bathurst, a lot of people say it's the fastest car around there. Then, of course, Suzuka. It's a very, very nice car. It's very settled there. A lot of high speed. And you can just really nicely wing it around there. But a lot of people just don't really like it around the European tracks. Even so, I've seen a lot of drivers that can actually really make that car work. So, a bit of a surprise there. But if he gets a good result, I wouldn't be too surprised there.
Well, there is Czarnecki making his way now through Luffield. before he gets onto the power to go through Woodcote in the 3M Racing number 44 Ferrari, up through the gears now, just under half a second off of the pace of Hamada Akizi as he makes his way towards the line. Can he find improvement? He can. Improves to a 57.276. It's not going to change his position though, but it moves him within 2.5 tenths of that lead time. That right there is Ashton Cox in the Ashtar Racing 158 McLaren, 59.7 from Cox there as he makes his way through the left-hander there of Aintree on towards the Wellington Straight. Making our way towards Brooklands, that McLaren gleaming in the sunlight there. And I know sunlight at Silverstone in Britain, it's a bit of a rare one, but we'll see how the weather plays out later on as we make our way now in through the final couple of corners. And there you can see Ashton Cox running a little bit deep there in towards Luffield, but he gets back onto the power, hoping for an earlier apex, hoping to carry a bit more speed on the exit. Through Woodcote we go and onwards towards the start finish line. Currently 18th fastest in this practice session, stays 18th fastest. He took 6 tenths out of his time, but it wasn't a valid time, so he has to stick with a 59.7. There goes the back end, a little bit too much curb on the entry there, and Ashton Cox finds himself around.
Yeah, definitely not an easy corner. Cops is, I think I speak for everyone who's ever driven it, you know. To drive Cops is not that difficult because obviously, you know, it's a medium to fast speed right-hander, but to take it properly, it's so difficult because you just have to hit it at the perfect angle to not go off track at the exit, and also, as we just saw, to not spin it around in the middle.
Yeah, there is Planas then in the Todo Terrano Racing Ferrari, the number 81 car, making the way through in towards Luffield, getting back onto the power to try and build that speed, going through Woodcote and onwards towards that start-finish line. Currently 12th fastest, 1.4 seconds off the leader right now, stays 1.4 seconds off the leader, finishes up in 12th place. There's Clyde Bunny then in the Odyssey Racing number 87 car, making their way now through in towards the left and right-hander, going through Club Corner on towards the Hamilton Straight. Of course, this is round about halfway round the circuit. Through now onto the Hamilton Straight in the Odyssey Racing machine, as we've then got to line up the car for Abbey and Farm. And this is where you really want to try and run as low fuel as possible, try and get that last lap time in. And interesting about these practice sessions, Nico, obviously you alluded to, you're not quite sure whether drivers are making sure that their race pace is okay, or maybe one last qualifying lap, but it's one of those sessions where you don't want to give away too much. You want to hold as many cards as close to your chest as possible.
Yeah, that is for sure, and especially with these 20-minute races, you know. You don't have that much fuel, but of course, well, what is it? I think around 30, 50 liters is, well, 50 liters, I think 45 liters, depending on the car. Because, of course, you know, with a turbo engine or with naturally aspirated engine, it's also a different there, and also difficult to judge how much you actually need. And even then, you know, these 30 to 40 liters that are the difference there, they still make a difference in lap time. And especially in car balance for mid-engine cars.
Absolutely, and interesting practice session. We haven't got to qualify yet. That's coming up soon. It's going to be a hectic session for that as well. But some good times on the board then, really competitive. And if we're taking those into account for possible race pace, we're looking at a pretty tightly contested field here, which is great when we're coming into a Mega Sprint Tuesday.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially, you know, 3 20-minute races. And as I said, I think they're going to be diving at every opportunity that they can get to have an overtake. And as we all know, a certain Mr. Ayrton Senna said once, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. And I'm thinking that all of these guys are very certain to meet that description of a racing driver.
Well, we weren't going to lie to you when we're going to say that that track is going to be absolutely packed out there. You can just see from the mini-map that there is so much action out there just in these first opening 60 seconds. There's only one car left in the pit lane. That's the 172 of Gautam Reddy. So he's just making his way now out of the pit lane. So all the drivers then out on track, and I'm not expecting anyone back into the pit lane anytime soon. David Ohak is the first driver out of the pit lane, keen and eager to go racing in the number 13 DJ racing car, making his way now through the left-hander of the loop. Before you build up the power, then build up the revs, going through Aintree, this flat-out left-hander. Onwards, then you go towards the Wellington Straight to prepare yourself for Brooklands, and it's a medium speed corner, and it's almost a corner you have to try and do your braking whilst you're in it as well.
Yeah, and well, that is going to be one of the big fighting things as well, because different cars, of course, you know, if you have all these wonderful manufacturers we can see at the front here, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Aston Martin, Bentley as well, and Porsche as well. I think it's going to be very interesting because these cars also have different strengths and weaknesses. And well, it even comes down to stuff like, you know, which car has the better ABS for, you know, braking into a corner, you know, for trail braking, getting the maximum performance out of that as David Ohak starts his first lap at the top of this huge field that we've just had here. You know, for example, I know that the Lamborghini, it has a bit of a longer braking distance and the ABS is a little bit iffy sometimes there as well, so you just have to watch out that you get the car slowed down perfectly, that you have the ABS set up perfectly and the brake bias perfectly, just so you can make sure I get as fast into that corner as possible, but I don't overcook it.
I mean, I want to ask you this, Nico, as well. When you come into Silverstone, sprint races, 20 minutes, 3 races, which car are you picking out of the lot?
I would probably have to say, since my last race here was in a Bentley, that was a 3-hour race hosted by Jenson Button himself, I had an absolute blast of a time with that. It was multi-class as well, and as I said earlier, Maggots and Beckett's, you can throw that Bentley in there like no other car, and that is just absolutely incredible. And especially, you know, you have to get into the British spirit, right-hand drive, the only car in the game.
Absolutely. There's Hamada Akizi, who was, I believe, the fastest driver in the practice session. Will make his way now on towards Abbey and Farm. Just chucking the car in there, seeing how much the car can actually handle. And going through Farm and then onwards towards Village, slowing that car down. Heavy braking zone this before you then head towards the loop, the slowest corner on this entire track, down to first gear just to make sure that the car actually turns in. And back onto the power, back through the gears, onwards through Aintree, and then onwards towards the Wellington Straight. We should have David Ohak making his way through the final couple of corners, going through Luffield and then towards Woodcote. There he is, as he now builds onto the power, taking a curb on the left-hand side through the final corner at Woodcote, then to set the first lap time of this qualifying session. It's a 58 flat then from David Ohak, puts him at the top of the table, of course. Jan-Nicolas Erbrich then crosses the line, but didn't set a valid lap time, and now the lap time's going to come in faster than I can speak. Hamada Akizi making his way towards the line. Can he get himself up there? Yes, he can. 56.9 from Hamada Akizi puts almost half a second between himself and Charnetsky in second place. There is Stephen Johnson then in the RDS Motorsport Aston Martin making his way towards the line. Goes 10th fastest, 3.5 seconds slower than our provisional pole position time. But Hamada Akizi has laid down the marker very early on.
Yeah, most definitely. We know that he is not messing around here. And especially McLaren, if you get along with the car, it's a car that not everyone gets along with. It is very, very strong over here at Silverstone, you know, the British advantage fully playing out, so to say.
Absolutely. If your home manufacturer doesn't do well at one of your home tracks, it's just a bit of a punch in the gut then as Ashton Cox crosses the line, and 14th fastest, 2.1 seconds off that pole position time. A 59.1 from the Brit puts him onto the 7th row on the grid. Spence Robb then up there in 3rd place in the Bentley, as the car that Nico would have chosen here. I think that's the highest Bentley in the order so far. Sheldon Muscat also in a Bentley in 8th place, 1.5 seconds off our provisional pole position time. Still waiting for a couple of drivers to set a lap time out there. We have got a couple of drivers in the pit, Malsharek being one of them, and Slovenach as well in the Porsche in the pit lane. Stephen Johnson's come back to the pits. There's Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, who has set a lap time, but it was not a valid one. A 58.4 would have got him round about in that midfield as he makes his way in the Lamborghini through the final couple of corners. Onwards we go then towards Luffield. And it's a very, very long right-hander as we're approaching the end of qualifying already. Seconds to go. David Ohak then might have time, might have an opportunity for one more lap, and he will, you know, heading towards the line. Checkered flag is out. Jan-Nicolas Erbrich does get a lap time in. He will go 8th fastest in the DJ Racing 299 Lamborghini. That's his session over and done with. Charnetsky across the line then, the Polish driver, crossing the line, 57.2. Second place does go quicker than his previous best, but it's good enough for that front row of the grid. So we've got drivers now out there trying to set their fastest lap times. Again, they didn't have very, very long at all to get a lap time together. Erbrick really only had that one opportunity, and that was the clean lap that he set. Here's Glyabani then in the Odyssey Racing number 87 McLaren making his way towards the line. Can he get an improvement on 15th place? He can. He goes on to the second row of the grid, fourth fastest, puts him then 6/10 off of that provisional pole position time. Ashton Cox then in the Ashtar Racing 158 McLaren building up the speed then out of Luffield and towards Woodcote, flat out through here towards the line. Can Ashton Cox improve on 8th row of the grid, trying to take the shortest line possible he can? He goes 10th fastest, 5th row of the grid then for Ashton Cox, and just like that, just as soon as qualifying had started, it's already over. Only a couple of lap times achieved by our drivers there. David Ohak did have a chance to set another lap time. He just beat that checkered flag, but I think he bailed out of that last lap that he attempted. But short, sharp qualifying leads to short, sharp races. We've got 3 of them, all 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a very, very interesting mix here. And we saw that earlier, you know, the McLaren, it goes exceptionally well through corners, and that is actually one of the strengths and weaknesses I wanted to talk about. Because we have a McLaren on the front row, we have a Ferrari on the front row. Ferrari, especially the Evo variant, notoriously good straight line speed. And especially with the highest ECU map on that car, I think if Erquisi can't quite get a gap through turn 1 and through Maggots and Beckett's, he may be in a bit of trouble from David Ohak.
He could be indeed. It's going to be a tight turn 1 then as we take you back then towards Copse Corner. I mean, that being turn 1, I mean, it's going to be a little bit hairy going through there. It's going to be that mentality of the race can't be won at the first turn, but it can most certainly be lost there.
Yeah, definitely, and that is just the big problem. You know, you have to find the perfect balance, especially with only a 20-minute race. You constantly just have to watch yourself, you know, what kind of move can I do in this time, and what kind of move should I defend against? Is it maybe better, you know, if this guy behind me is looking a bit too sketchy, you know, do I want to defend, or do I just want to stand by and see him, you know, well, miss his braking point a little bit and open up the way for me for the next 4 cars ahead?
Well, we'll have to see if that strategy is tried by any of the drivers out there. But Hamada Akizi on pole position. He looks in pretty good strength. He's got a couple of drivers alongside him. Chernetsky being in particular within around about 0.3 of a second of him. Should be a good battle between the two of them heading into these 3 races.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, those guys, you know, they're also just from the big leagues. They're from one of the, well, so to say, I mean, H3 Racing, of course, you know, Akizi. He's known around the globe already, and so is Chernetsky. And I think, you know, these guys coming here to World Pro Racing, where everyone, you know, all the skill gaps and all skill levels are always welcome to see. I think that's really, really fun, because we'll just see people who are, what, by any definition, you know, professionals, and then, you know, obviously a couple of, not amateurs, but, you know, new guys to all of this, so looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and World Pro Racing here with Mega Sprint Tuesdays. We're going to have the race very, very shortly, but we're going to bring you a couple of quick messages before the racing gets underway. Don't go anywhere. So here we are then, World Pro Racing for Mega Sprint Tuesdays. Nico, we've seen a pretty hectic qualifying session. Might be a sign of things to come here for the racing action. 3 20-minute races, the points close as ever. who's going to come out on top?
It's a difficult question because obviously, you know, the fastest guy will win, but it's not that simple in racing, especially in sprint racing, so hard to say.
Yeah. Fastest guy wins. There you go. Nico there with the pure driver insight there. That's absolutely certain that the fastest driver will win. It's the mentality going into Copse Corner. I mean, you're a driver. You're on that. You're in that pack there, going in towards Copse Corner. What's your approach, Nico? How do you survive turn 1?
Well, leaving space to the others, of course, you know, and if you're starting in the mid-pack, always be aware of your surroundings. It's better to leave a bit of a bigger gap than one that is, you know, quite rapidly too small, because after all, Copse, you know, it's a long corner. It's longer than you'd think, but shorter than you'd hope, so to say.
Well, we get rolling here then. It's a very short run-up towards the start-finish line. Hamada Akizi on your right. Artur Janetsky on your left. As we now line up then to start the first race here of Mega Sprint Tuesdays. They head towards the line. The green flag will be waving any second now. As they keep on rolling towards the line, we wait for this race to start. Green flag has been waved and we are racing. Hamada Akizi goes straight onto the attack, taking that racing line and takes the lead then as we make our way through Copse Corner for the very first time. How about all behind them? Looks like everyone has made their way through cleanly there as we make our way towards Maggots and Beckett's for the very first time then. Trying to make our way through here. 2 wide, 3 wide. There's Sheldon Muscat then going side by side with one of the McLarens there that is trying to go round the outside. But there is Hamada Akizi. He has had a lightning start already now on towards the hangar straight and taking the lead of this race. The number 44 car of Artur Janetsky in second place then as we now file our way down towards Stowe Corner, the fast right-hander here. Again, lots of fast flowing corners in this first sector before we then come to a heavy braking zone. That will be to Vale and towards the club corner section. There's Silver Pyramids then and Inco Racing number 23, Aston Martin. He's trying to put some pressure on some cars ahead. We've already had a car, had a little bit of a problem. Then Parna finds their way down towards 26th place, the Estonian. Then the number 8 car. Oh, we got a car slightly wayward going in towards the club corner section. It's a red Ferrari going a little bit too slowly there as Nerverth tries to make his way through in the Team Shark Aston Martin. We'll have to update you who that was, but Hamada Akizi leading this way. Janetsky in second place then it's Machia in third place, Banny in fourth, Spence Robb in fifth, Markech in sixth place, Erbrich in seventh, De Vella in eighth, Cox in ninth, and Muscat rounding off the top 10.
What a start, and you can already see the top 2. Janetsky not really willing to let the leader go just yet, but both of them have gotten quite a gap to P3, and now we see here Peter Dombred a little bit wide, and of course the inside line with distance and stuff being a bit shorter, so Neuwirth also profiting from that, moving up a space into 17th.
Yeah, good move then from Wojciech Neuwirth. He moves now up into 17th place. There's Matthias Elbrecht then trying to find a move up the inside. The number 88 hounds the number treble 8 then. Oh, that is the number treble 8 of Peter Dombrek getting slightly onto the gravel, leaves the door open. Meanwhile, behind them, a Lamborghini and a Honda goes side by side then. That is Malsharek and Zara going side by side, going through Copse Corner. Zara's on the outside then. Will he have to try and yield this one? He tries to hang in there, but with a car off on the outside there. Just trying to see who that is. Is that the number 44 car? It is the number 44 car. So it is Janetsky who finds himself now the wrong way around at the exit of the flying turn 1 there. You see the white flags waving, indicating a slow car to the other drivers, but Janetsky is now back up to speed. This is a replay then, so we're seeing David Ohak then get a start then going in towards Copse Corner, having to go around the outside there. You can see how little bit nervous he was going through there the very first time, understandably so, with a load of cars around you, and then making our way now on towards the first left-right handers then of Maggots and Beckett's trying to find the car through. Oh, the back snapped on him there. He rode the curb then. The suspension was not having it, and the car just snapped at him, and another Lamborghini joining him in sympathy.
Yeah, very difficult, of course, and especially on the first lap. You know, you don't want to give away too much road to the others right behind you, but that first curb, that first right-hand kink into Maggots and Beckett's, it's just so dangerous if you get it wrong. But meanwhile here, still pushing on the limit, Matthäus Elbrecht trying to get away from Dombred right behind him, and Malcharek, the Lamborghini there that we actually saw in the replay, also very desperate to make his way back up the order.
Definitely, Mashreq has the pace to get up the order as well. It's just trying to find some moves past, and if you make a mistake like that in a sprint race, it's going to be notoriously difficult to make up that ground you have lost. But there is Elbrecht then in the number 88, Peter Dombre trying to go up the inside as we make our way through Brooklands, then towards Luffield, then the double 88 coming up against the treble 88. You have that phrase whichever way you want it. Kirsten Abaya, meanwhile, 13th place then in a GT Omega RPM esports car. The number 19 Ferrari making his way now on towards Copse Corner. He's got Planas for company then, as they now both head through that flying first corner. Clay Banney up into 3rd place and trying to put some pressure on the car ahead. Of course, that's Machia ahead as we make our way now down the hangar straight, trying to get a little bit of slipstream. He's got the Bentley right behind as well. Arto Chernetsky then, we're going to see what happened to the man who was in 2nd place, and this is going to be something to happen at Copse Corner. So what happens here? Taking some curb on the left hand side, a little bit of braking, and the back snaps on him. What happened there?
Yeah, that is the thing with the Ferrari. Very, very good on straights, and it can also be very, very good on corners. And actually, we have that here, Hamada Akwizi. Before we went to the replay, I thought we saw a bit of, well, grass and dirt being thrown up, but that is, in fact, Akwizi having a bad exit out of Maggots and Beckett's. And, well, Mikel Mercia is going to be very thankful for that. Actually gets quite close, now looking for the outside into turn 3 of the GP layout, and now, of course, Barney looking to make it down the inside, now on the outside, and now that Bentley of Spence Robb on the next inside. What is happening here?
Well, this is what the one mistake from the leader can do. It bunches up the entire pack, and now we've got cars trying to run 3 wide, maybe down towards Luffield and Woodcote we go. Going in towards this long left-hander. Oh, that's a little bit close for comfort there for Spence Robb, but he manages to slow the car down. Clyde Banney is now onto the inside as we head our way through Luffield with this tight right-hander. The Bentley of Spence Robb has the outside line. They come door to door there as they now try and both put the power on through the final corner and towards the start-finish line. Meanwhile, then Markek right behind, just trying to look to see if he can take advantage. We're going to go 2 wide in towards Copse Corner, are we then? Side by side, we go through turn 1. Spence Robb's on the outside then. Banney has the inside line, has the position for now, but there is Markek then trying to find a way through, trying to sneak a move as well, but they hold formation for then. So Banney now into 3rd place, Spence Robb down to 4th, Markek holds on to 5th place. But that is a ding-dong battle up ahead involving Hamada Erkizi and Mertia there as we make our way now on towards the hangar straight. Let's have a replay. What are we seeing here? So this is Kirsten Abaya then, and number 19 GT Omega RPM esports car. This is making our way on towards the flying right-hander at Stowe. And they come together. That's Planas who collected there, going through the right-hander, and they both find themselves around. Doesn't look like there's too much damage to either car, in all honesty. They'll rejoin the track, but that might be a little bit of a trip to the steward's room. Markek then diving a move down the inside of the 404. So that is Erkizi. So Erkizi, Hamada Erkizi, who was leading this race, is now trying to battle away for 4th place round the outside. He'll have to go at Club Corner, off the track slightly, but he rejoins back into 4th place then. Markek then will have to try and find that move all over again.
Erkizi will have to watch out though, because with going that wide, ACC is not very forgiving with that. 3 warnings and you will have a drive-through, and I don't think that he wants that in this moment. But, as you're saying, he was the leader earlier. Mercia just found a way through, actually side by side, as we were in that triple battle right behind them, through Maggots and Beckett. So absolutely incredible stuff from everyone here. And now we have the triple battle for the lead, Mercia against Barney and Spence Robb. And actually that's damage.
That is damage. That's a lot of damage. He's having to steer the car left to keep it in a straight line. Oh, he's off again then, going through in towards the 3rd to last corner then. That's Brooklands now going through in towards Luffield. No wonder he's struggled off the pace. He's got a bit of steering damage that he's having to counteract with. That's going to cost him a whole lot of time. But we rejoin onto the battle for the lead. Machia, Vanni and Spence Robb all battling away for the lead of this race with just over 11 minutes of this race to go. There is your race leader in Mikel Machia as we make our way now in towards Maggots and Beckett another time around. A 10-second penalty has been applied to the number 81 car of Planas for causing an avoidable incident with the number 18 car. So I believe that's going to be applied there and then.
Maybe a typo. Probably was the 19 of Kirsten Abaya, but
yes.
That was the incident that we saw down here into Stowe. And well, we got cut off by the racing, actually, I think, justified, because Planes just seemed to turn in a little bit too aggressively there with a car on his inside, and then this spin, which was, quite frankly, a bit unnecessary this early in the race. But back to the racing action. A little bit of interesting information here about Mikel Mejia. He started off as a GT Sport driver, so he's actually new to the PC sim racing world. Started off in GT Sport, actually in one of the first races that I commentated on, and in the first race that you and I commentated on together.
Absolutely, and we see Clyde Banney here looking to try and rain on Mejia's parade, going in towards the right-hander there of Village, then making our way towards the loop. And you can see there pretty much 3 different lines being taken. Spence Robb wants to try and get a move done, and the number 48 Bentley. So Reese, Spence, Robb now going down the Wellington straight into the slipstream then of the McLaren ahead of Banney. Will he try and move then going down the inside in towards Brooklands? There you can see our picture-in-picture riding aboard with Spence Robb as he tries to tackle this long left-hander. Mejia then getting slightly wayward on the exit of that corner then of Brooklands, but then lines up perfectly for Luffield and gets a good exit as well, so maybe that's his racing line of choice. Hamada Akizi is back into the pit lane. Not sure we'll see him rejoin in this race, which is a huge shame for what was our race leader. We're coming up towards turn 1 here for another time, for the 6th time in this race. Reese Spence Mob then putting the pressure on now on Banney ahead of him, but Mejia is feeling the pressure too. 3-way battle then for the lead of this race, and you've got to say Marquez, Jan-Niklas Erbrich, Muscat, Vela, they're not too far behind from this battle.
Yeah, definitely not, and I think if one of these guys makes a mistake, if one of them gets slowed down a bit too much, immediately we're going to have this 3-way battle turn into a 6-way battle, as it seems. But meanwhile, look right behind that. You can't quite see it as clearly because the distance is getting up a little bit. But over the roof of that McLaren, you can still see the Bentley. That absolutely humongous car in comparison to the 720S. And, it's always a crowd favorite, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, definitely. As you see then, Mejia then making his way through the final corner, and sorry, not the final corner, that's the final corner of the GP layout, as he now makes his way around halfway around the track at the new complex, making our way now through in towards Vale Abbey then for the 6th time in this race. James Mead then in a JBR Aston Martin, under pressure then from the McLaren of Jan Ryler in the number 149 car, now making our way through that right left of Abbey and then Farm onwards then towards Village, braking hard here, just trying to get the car slowed down as James Mead runs a little bit too deep, opens the door then for Jan Ryler to go through the loop. You see then Jan Ryler taking a slightly different line to the 505 of James Mead. Back onto the power we will go, riding aboard that rear wing of James Mead then, heading down the Wellington straight and then towards Brooklands once again. And you can see here Mead's going to have to go the long way around. Jan Ryler wants that inside line going in towards Brooklands. Are they going to run side by side up towards Luffield? Instinct says yes, but there you can see James Mead has to back out of that one. That's a good move then from Jan Ryler, rejoining the battle for the lead of this race. Mejia then under huge amounts of pressure then from Banney. He does slightly leave that door open, runs a little bit wide. Banney will try and take full advantage, so too will Spence Robb as they're trying to run side by side. 2nd and 3rd place going in towards Maggots once again. Running side by side, so close between them. Mejia's got away with that one. Banney trying to take advantage, but he's taking a bit too much curb. He's got onto the grass, and Reese Spence Robb surely should grab 2nd place, which he does. And in that, then Marquez also grabs 3rd place. It just shows you how a mistake here can send you 2-3 positions down the order.
That was very close as well on that rejoin with Marquez, and I think maybe this was something that will be looked at as well, because after all, he was rejoining the track there, so you have to be careful. Even if you, of course, you haven't made a mistake, you lost the position, but you still have to keep a leveled head.
Yeah, Clyde Banney then, 4th place now, falling slightly down the order, but he's got Jan-Niklas Erbrich now for company in that 299 Lamborghini, breathing down his neck then as we approach then just under 7 minutes to go in this race. There is your race leader in Mikel Mejia, and Reese Spence Robb trying to close in and try and get that move done. Oh, he runs into the back of the McLaren then. Spence Robb trying to be aggressive with his braking then, braking a little bit later, but he's got to be aware of that car ahead of him as they now try and put on the power then through in towards Aintree and then down the Wellington straight. Spence Robb here will have a little bit of slipstream on Mejia ahead as we make our way now on towards Brooklands. There's Artur Shanetsky as he's now trying to find his way back through the order, up to 13th place now. So it's a good recovery drive at the very least. And of course, every single position, so long as you pretty much make the checkered flag, will score you points.
Yeah, of course. And just finishing here, of course, is something that you want to do generally. And if not, you still have 2 races to try and do well in. But first of all, 6 minutes left. That is just over 3 laps if these guys just keep it together and keep doing these just barely under 2-minute laps. And now, though, I think Mr. Spence Robb, if he will have a say about this, of course he goes slower while going side by side, but that Bentley wants to go past, I think.
It really, really does, as we now make our way on towards the hangar straight for the 8th time in this race. Spence Robb gets into that slipstream of Machia. Is it enough to see if he can try and move down the inside as we head towards Stowe Corner? Certainly thinks about it, but not quite close enough then. He's got to be careful about being indecisive, because he's got Marquek right behind as well, as we make our way now on through Vale and then towards the Club Corner section, then braking hard then into this crowd section on your left-hand side. Trying to make sure you gather that car up, 2nd gear, back through the gears then as we make our way through in towards that Club Corner section, now on towards the Hamilton Straight before we make our way towards Abbey and Farb once again. But the car ahead is the race leader, Machia in the McLaren, the number 97, leads this way. Spence Robb in 2nd place, Marquek in 3rd, Bani in 4th place, Erbrick in 5th with Vela in 6th, Muscat in 7th, Pirmitz in 8th, Jan Ryler in 9th, and Mead rounds off the top 10. And this is where Spence Robb has to be careful, because he wants to attack for the race lead, but he's got Marquek right behind, who's already proven that if you make a mistake, he will take advantage of it.
Yeah, most definitely. And well, I think the problem now is, you only have around 2, maybe 3 laps left at this, and oh my goodness, look at this! This is just what I meant here. You just have these last couple laps left. It doesn't even allow me to finish my sentence. If there's going to be contact, it's going to happen in these last moments, and sadly it hit Medechia here, who's luckily just dropping down to 4th.
He has, and a little bit of contact then going through the left-hander of Brooklands, and that's all that Machia needed to be demoted all the way down to 4th place. No doubt the stewards will be having a look at that one, but Spence Robb does lead this way then. Marquek in 2nd place, Bani in 3rd, but they're still battling hammer and tong for that 3rd place, so Machia's not really out of this one just yet, down to 4th place, but that top 3 are battling hard for that race win. And if Spence Robb can try and find his way a little bit of a gap maybe to the 2 cars behind, he can try and find that sort of gap, that breathing space that he needs. But Bani is trying to find a way back past Marquek, who found himself up into 2nd place. As we can see then, Marquek trying to have the inside line, Bani round the outside then as we head through Stowe Corner, but I don't think there's going to be enough space there. There's just about enough space though between the 2 drivers, but Marquek managing to hold on just about to 2nd place. Bani holds on to 3rd right now as we round the final couple of corners then as we make our way through, and then on towards the Hamilton Straight. 3 minutes of this race still to run, and we've got multiple cars running wide going through that halfway point, going through that final sort of acceleration point through Club Corner section. Machia then, so this is going to be what happened to our race leader. We saw it on board with Spence Robb as we make our way now braking in towards Brooklands then. And Nico, is that a case of maybe Spence Robb misjudging his braking point, or is that Machia braking slightly earlier than the Bentley would have expected?
No, I think that was definitely him misjudging his braking point. Of course, it's also difficult to say because the Bentley has, as I said, a bit of a different ABS system as the McLaren. And yeah, I think just maybe a bit too much turn-in, a bit too desperate, a bit too much dirty air, and there's contact like that. So I'm not the judge of what happens, but yeah, as with every race, we have FIA-accredited stewards here, and they know what to do.
They do know what to do, and that's Shadetsky, who knows exactly what to do as well. Up to 12th place, he will go, and a recovery drive then started 2nd place in this race. Reese Spence Robnen, meanwhile, leading this way. He's got Marquek right behind. Bani also battling him for 3rd place in this race. Machia in 4th, Erbrick in 5th, with Muscat 6th, Vela in 7th, Pirmitz in 8th, Ryler in 9th, and Mead rounding off the top 10. But he's becoming a little bit of a target then for Slovenac in these final closing stages of this race. Just over 90 seconds to go as we now make our way on towards Stowe Corner. It's going to be nip and tuck whether this is the final lap of this race. I don't think it will be. I think we will have at least one more. I say at least one more. We should have one more.
Yeah, we should have. I think it's going to be very, very close, but of course it all depends on the leader. However, if Spence Rob decides, oh, well, I think I'm done with this race for now, he could slow down a little bit, but quite honestly, he doesn't have that comfortable of a gap to the guys behind.
No, not to do that either. So he's going to have to play it fine. 60 seconds of this race to go then, and the leaders are just making their way now in through Abbey and Farm for the I think that's the 9th time this race, possibly 10th, as they now make their way up towards Village. We're seeing David Ohak then, and it's been a tough start for David Ohak. He got onto the curbs then early on, spun himself around. 16th place though. He will be promoted into 15th place because of Planis's 10-second penalty. There is Spence Robb then making their way now on towards the Wellington Straight and towards Brooklyn, that flying left-hander, and that battle for 2nd place seems to have plateaued a little bit, seems to have settled down into these closing stages. But Spence Robb now making his way through Luffield, trying to get that apex, trying to get that biting point. It's going to be close to the line though, as we now make our way towards Wilco, building up through the gears, building up through the power. We should get one more lap if Spence Robb doesn't back out of the power, which we will. We will go for one more lap in this race, and then the team Bentley of Reese Spence Robb starts the final lap of this race as we then make our way through Copse Corner now towards Maggots and Beckett. So we get one more lap to enjoy this battle for 2nd place.
Yeah, and this is just this fun party. You just have barely under 2 minutes. So it's also a thing with fuel calculation, because as I said, you want the car to be as light as possible. If you have 35 or maybe 38 liters, some people will really try to optimize everything out of it and just optimize it a little bit too much. And in the last lap, it's suddenly you cross the line. It's like, wait, the race is not over? Oh, boy. Safety car map it is for the last lap.
Oh, absolutely. Silver Pirmitz then has moved now up into 8th place, I do believe. He's got a move done on Jan Ryler. So the Bentley now finds himself, the Aston Martin finds himself now up into 8th place. Silver Pirmitz, the Estonian, in the Ninko Racing number 23, Aston Martin, making their way now on towards Vale and Club Corner section here. And the number 48 of Spence Robb does lead this way, but the stewards will be awarding a 5-second penalty to the car in race number 2 because the incident happened within the last 5 minutes. They will apply a 5-second penalty to him in race number 2. So for now, he leads this way then, going through the final couple of corners, through the loop, and then towards Aintree, on towards the Wellington Straight we will go. And the team Bentley of Reese Spence Robb, try saying that 3 times quickly, as we make our way now on towards Brooklands then, slowing that car down then for that flying left-hander. And the battle for 2nd place really has meant that he's managed to keep concentrated there. The number 8 car is just about rejoining there. I think that's Prit Parna then, who just about rejoins. James Mead, though, trying to hold off the attack of Slovenac, but there is Reese Spence Robb then making his way through the final corner to cross the line to take the checkered flag and win race 1 of Mega Sprint Tuesdays here on World Pro Racing. Markek in 2nd place, Bani in 3rd. Great battling between the two of them, and it's Markek who comes out on top. Machia then in 4th place, will feel a little bit hard done by, but 4th place to recover is a great job. There is James Mead just about holding off the attack from Slovenac towards the line, just about grabbing 10th place there. But it's Erbrick in 5th place, Muscat in 6th, Vela in 7th place with Pirmitz in 8th, Jan Ryler 9th, Mead in 10th, Slovenac in 11th place. Meanwhile, we've still got a battle here between 2 drivers. We've got the number 19 car of Kirsten Abea trying to go down the inside, going in towards one of the final corners, then make our way through the loop. Lagreston trying to hold off the attack of Kirsten Abea. This is for the last really wooden spoon to finish on the lead lap. As you can see there, the Ferrari of Abea gets onto the grass, now tries to switch to the inside line, then going in towards Brooklands for the final time, manages to get the inside line, but he's got over on the corner, goes onto the grass, and Lagreston there says, thank you very much, I'll take 23rd place from you. Who'd have thought a battle for 23rd place could be that intense between the two of them? But Lagreston then builds up the power and will cross the line to finish in 23rd place with Kirsten Abea. Threw everything at at it through the final couple of corners, but 24th place is what he will have to settle with there. Well, if you enjoyed one race of those, guess what? I've got some good news. We've got 2 more of them coming your way. And Nico, a pretty action-packed race. The stewards had quite a bit to deal with in that one.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, not too many bigger incidents, but the ones that we did have, quite a bit of drama there, so to say. Yeah, either way, I think, Mercia, even though the incident happened, still held on quite well. Had another scary moment coming out of Chapel there, but able to hold on and less than 2 seconds behind P3. Maybe a bit building also that his McLaren mates would also, try a bit of a sprint move. But luckily nothing happened there. To be honest, the finish between 10th and 11th was the most exciting for me. Just barely a couple centimeters apart and less than half of a tenth after 20 minutes. That is quite something in my opinion.
0.041 seconds between the two of them crossing the line there. So yeah, fantastic battling all throughout the field. And we saw then a great battle for 23rd place in the closing stages of that race. All of these points matter. Every single finishing position is worth at least a few points. So it's worth trying to go for a late move, get yourself an extra point, try and get yourself up the table a little bit more. And when it comes to our front row of drivers, well, they didn't have the greatest day. Hamada Akiza retiring from the race with that steering damage. We didn't quite find out how he got that damage, but what we do know is it was serious enough to really dampen that performance he had, and he decided to call it a day in the end. Hopefully he'll be back for race 2, and hopefully he'll be able to take better use, at least for him, of that good qualifying position that he worked so hard to get.
Yeah, and of course, quite difficult start for him, but if I've learned anything from watching these pro divers race, especially Akrizi, I raced against him once at Bathurst. Once he gets into the zone, he's quite a force to be reckoned with. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what he will pull in the next 2 races. And if anything, it didn't dampen his spirit with the first race. If anything, it lightened it up a bit more.
Well, whilst we collect all of our thoughts and head to race 2, we'll be back very, very shortly here on World Pro Racing to continue with Mega Sprint Tuesdays after these messages. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back then to World Pro Racing Mega Sprint Tuesdays. We've had one action-packed race already. We've got two more coming up. And Nico, if the first race taught us anything, it's that it is going to be high octane, lots of battles up and down the order.
Yeah, of course, and especially in the last couple minutes, I think everyone had very, very strong nerves. Everyone had a lot of patience, but of course, at some point you have to make that move. Sadly, in some cases, you know, no matter what the cost, but for that case, we have our FIA accredited stewards after all. And yeah, into race 2, Mr. Reese Spence Robb will go into it with a 5-second penalty due to his little misjudgment of braking distance.
Yeah, the stewards found him at fault for that instance, so 5 seconds will be added on to the end of his race then. But we're about to go racing once again, and you'll notice one name is not on the order, so it is going to be Artur Czernetsky who gets things underway as we now roll our way towards the start-finish line to get race number 2 underway. The green flag will drop any moment now. You got Czernetsky on the left-hand side of your screen. Green flag is waved. We're racing once again here as we now make our way towards Copse Corner for the very first time. Czernetsky then should get a cleaner start this time around, that is for sure, as he takes the lead of this race. Macia's in second place, then Bani in third place. There you can see Spence Robb in fourth, but 5 seconds will be added to the end of his race, coming all the way through now in towards Maggott and Beckett once again. So Czernetsky here looking to try and take advantage of that missing Hamada Akizi. Will look to try and get the power on and see what he can do. Silver Pyramids has a drive-through penalty. Now that's most likely going to be for a start line or starting infringement. So he possibly wasn't in the right place when the green flag dropped, and so he's got himself a drive-through penalty. Christian Malsharek then going round in towards the right-hander, the flying right-hander of Stowe Corner. He's right behind Jan-Nicolas Erbrich then, but he's got Sheldon Muscat right behind as well. Meanwhile, Czernetsky then leads the way from Macia and Bani in third place then. And the Polish driver will want to try and make use of this as much as he possibly can. He's shown us already he's got the pace. He now needs to try and get that pace and deliver with a good result here.
Yeah, definitely. And the last time we saw him lose the car through Copse, but hopefully this won't be the case this time. He seems to be a bit more comfortable around here, making a bit more defensive moves actually as well, in comparison to before, because now of course he only has to defend, not attack as well. And as we have that here 3 wide almost there with Dean Vella on the very outside, and I think that is Silver Pyramids actually in the middle of that. And despite having that drive through, he's still wanting to attack for these races.
Absolutely, he wants to try and get through as much as possible, try and lose the least amount of time possible with that drive-through penalty. So it won't be surprising to me if he takes it as late as he possibly can in the hopes that he can recover some of that time. Spence Robb looking for a move up the inside as we now make our way through. Then we've got one of the cars, we've got 2 cars off into the gravel slightly there. We're going side by side now. Battle for third place then as we make our way up towards Copse for the second time in this race, and Spence Robb then up now into third place as he takes away that position from Bani then. So good move from the team Boatley Bentley as we make our way now once again towards Maggott and Beckett. Czernetsky in the lead with Macia in second place. There's Wojciech Nerwerth who's right and trying to get away from Elbrecht right behind, but he's not going to make it easy then, the number 88 car, as we're going side by side. Up ahead, that's Ligreston and Ashton Cox going side by side. There's Sandro Zara in the open for offers Honda then, as Christopher Ligreston then 19th place as Ashton Cox goes down to 20th. David Ohak then has made it further than he did last time without spinning, but he's rewarded by Markek trying to go up the inside at Stowe Corner, trying to take that position away from him, which he has, as he still runs side by side then on the approach to Vale, and then in towards this club corner section. David Ohak has just about held on to that one. Jan-Nicolas Erbrich then trying to find a move up the inside of Markek, but David Ohak holds on then to 5th place. Markek now under pressure from Jan-Nicolas Erbrich in that Lamborghini.
Yeah, and people are definitely trying to make their best out of everything here. Of course, we saw this the field spread out a little bit, just bit by bit throughout the race. But look at this now. Silver Pyramids now in 10th place. Dean Vella right behind him, so he got through in the meantime. And also Sheldon Scott Muscat all over the back of the end of that Lamborghini from Malcharek, just up ahead.
So Silver Pyramids then with that drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, then that's Sheldon Muscat going up the inside of Malcharek then, and he's got the move done, and he's got a good run actually to try and challenge the Lamborghini up ahead of him as we now make our way through. As we now try and slow the cars down then in towards the left-hander of Brooklands here, going in towards Luffield, as you see there, the Bentley behind of, the Aston Martin behind of Silver Pyramids, running a little bit deep, going out of Brooklands there, managing to recover it, but he will have to serve his drive-through penalty at some point in this race. If he hasn't served it already, he'll have to serve it on the next lap, otherwise he will be shown at that black flag. Spence Robb then on the attack to try and counter-attack his 5-second penalty. He's on the back of Machia then, heading away through Maggots and Beckett's for the third time this race.
Yeah, and Mercia is going to want to, well, stay away from Spence Robb as much as possible. Of course, he could just let him through, but still, I think, especially because of that collision in the last race, you know, it would be more rational to let him through and just let the penalty work its magic at the end. But we're all racing drivers here, so of course we want to fight.
We do want to fight, and so does Reece Spence Robb, right on the back of Machia then, as we make our way through Vale and towards the club corner section. No move on then for Spence Robb, going in towards the first part of the club corner here. Going through this double right-hander, then leading us on to the Hamilton straight before we go and turn right at Abbey, left at Farm. But Spence Robb just turning up the heat then. Machia's handling it well at the moment, but whilst these two battle, it's allowing Shonetsky to lead this way in the number 44 Ferrari. 2.2 seconds is the gap between himself and Machia. Just trying to get himself into a rhythm then, if that's possible here in a sprint race. We've still got just under 15 minutes to go, and there is the Bentley there of Muscat trying to go up the inside of Jan-Nicolas Erbrich then. No way through for the Bentley this time around, going through the loop. We've got a spinner then. It's the treble 8 of Peter Dombre, who finds himself around. I believe that's the entrance in towards Farm Corner, so he'll have to try and rejoin. He has rejoined, but he's rejoined ahead of the number 88 car, so they can resume their battles then. Meanwhile, Dean Vella is trying to get a move done here, or at least trying to defend from Silver Pyramids. He's got the inside line and has that move done. Planas then trying to find a way through again, going through in towards Luffield. No way through there. But you can see then lots of drivers trying to take an opportunity. There is Silver Pyramids then coming into the pit lane, serve his drive-through penalty. So everyone behind him is going to pretty much be promoted at least one place.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And just behind that, Planas just barely able to still pull out of that. And, well, keep another collision from happening. So looking now again at Jan-Nicolas Erbrich. Actually, no, we're going to go to a replay instead. Let's have a look here. That is Peter Dombre here with the 888, and I think I can already see what's gonna happen. Okay, I didn't see what was gonna happen, and just in a Bayer.
Wow.
What reactions?
I mean, that was quick thinking there. He had to avoid that one, and quickly steering left onto a part of the track that's, you know, half tarmac, half grass is not easy to do. But yeah, fair play to him. He managed to avoid that with all of his might then. So yeah, it just seemed like the rear over-rotated as he went through that flying right-hander.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to get these, to get especially the Ferrari sorted for these kind of corners. Well, it's a bit sad, but it's something that I think every driver of a Ferrari has found himself into by now, because this car is a little bit, in German we call it zickig, so, you know, it's a little bit, you know, not so happy to comply all of the time unless the setup is 100% perfect.
Well, not willing to comply here is Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, because he does not want to let through Sheldon Muscat, then taking a tighter line going through the loop, and it seems to have helped him keep a hold of that track position. He'll have to defend the inside line then as we head our way through Brooklands, but Sheldon Muscat here in that big Bentley, that intimidating Bentley, trying to find a way down the inside in towards Luffield we go, before we then get to Woodcote. Back onto the power for Jan-Nicolas Erbrich. He's managed to hold on to 7th place for another couple of corners, but there's nothing more intimidating than a Bentley in your rear view mirror. Ligreston then, as the number 172 of Reddy goes down the inside. Ligreston actually loses 2 positions there, because I think that was Nerverth then who made his way through, and I think the number 47 car is starting to struggle a little bit out there. He's now got a Lamborghini behind him. Sorry, not a Lamborghini. We've got a car right behind him. That's the Aston Martin then. I think that's of Johnson then, as we now make our way through, and it is of Johnson then right behind. So that's the battle for now for 20th place. Machia then is still under attack from Spence Robb then. He's managed to defend, he's managed to hold that position as long as possible right now, as we make our way through Stowe Corner for the 5th time. As you can see then, the Boatley Bentley trying to find a way past, going in towards the club corner section now. David Ohak defending then from Markek, going in towards the left-hander, then the right-hander of club corner. You can see Markek got the inside line, then going through that last part on towards the Hamilton straight. They go side by side. David Ohak runs slightly wide onto the curb. They still run side by side, do they? Going up towards Abbey, but there you can see Markek has to back out of that one. David Ohak holds on to 5th place, but he really had to work hard for that one.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Ohak just perfectly used the width of the track there. Well, actually going a little bit wide, so he can't do that far too often. Simply because, well, either the game deems it you didn't gain a lot of time, or you didn't gain enough time to be deemed, you know, as a track limit infraction, or you will get this incident. And once you have 3 of those, you'll get a drive-through penalty, and obviously that is not going to be very good for you whatsoever. And, oh my goodness me, that is...
Oh, Sheldon Muscat. It's just about held onto that one, but the back end dropped on him. He was applying that pressure to Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, and he's fallen foul of himself there. So he's got to try and recover as much of that as possible. With only 10 minutes of this race to go, there is not a lot of time. Wojciech Nerver trying to find a way past, ready here as we make our way towards the right-hander of Brooklands then, who can take this line the better. Still, they're going to run side by side as we now make our way in towards Luffield then, this long right-hander. It's an age to get back onto that throttle again to try and pick up the apex. But Gotham ready, trying to get the power down. Wojciech Nerver trying to find a way round the outside, going through the final corner across the start-finish line we go. And you can see there Nerver trying to find a way up the inside in towards Copse Corner, launches the car down the inside, takes that position away, and Nerver goes up to 18th place. David Ohak then still under pressure from Markek then going through this long right-hander at Stowe, and I think Markek has the move done, and he does. So Markek up a position then, up into 5th place.
Great move from him there, just placed his car perfectly, and then I think Ohak got caught out a little bit by the bumps in the braking zone into Stowe, because obviously that is very difficult to get it right and just can't get the car turning properly. However, we're back here with Reece Spence-Robb right behind the McLaren, and you're not going to want to be there, especially because of this here. And barely was able to hold on to that. And Barney says, thank you very much, I'll take that very appreciatingly, so to say.
Yeah, back onto the podium places for Clyde Barney then, so he'll be very appreciative of that. And I think for Spence-Robb, he'll be relieved that he's only conceded 1 position. However, he's got 5 seconds worth of penalties carried over from the last race. That'll be added to his race at the end of this one. And you can see it's going to drop him quite a way down the order, considering how close everybody is out there. Marquez is around 3 seconds back, and then you've got around Jan-Nicolas Erbrich. It's around that area he's going to drop to. Meanwhile, then, there is Artur Czernecki leading this way by nearly 5 seconds. The man from Poland putting the laps in then and showing us what we were missing in that first race. If he didn't have that moment, could he have done a double here maybe? But Jan Ryler is under pressure then from Mead as we make our way towards Copse Corner. Flying our way through then the number 505 car then of James Mead, trying to put Jan Ryler, make him think about taking a certain line, going in towards Maggots and Beckett's, and Aston Martin is simply not going anywhere for now as we try and find the lines through here. Jan Ryler in the Euro Racing team. McLaren trying to find the grip out there, gets the grip actually, and has actually pulled a little bit of a gap over James Mead. He'll be happy about that one, because then that negates the slipstream that he might be giving to Mead down the Hangar Straight.
And not only that, you know, obviously the closer you are, the stronger the slipstream gets, because the air hasn't just quite flown back down yet. But also, you know, the more distance you have, the better, of course. And that is Kirsten Abeya getting a drive-through, so I think that may have been from him, well, not showing the appropriate amount of regard to track limits.
Yep, there's Stephen Johnson and Silver Pyramits going side by side as Silver Pyramits grabs that position away and moves up a position. But can he keep that car in check? A massive amount of understeer as he went through Stowe there, but he managed to keep a hold of it. In fact, it was a load of understeer, and all that momentum shifted to the rear very quickly there. Managed to keep a hold of it, and Silver Pyramits now goes up into 20th place.
Yeah, a good recovery drive from him so far, especially after, you know, the very unfortunate misplacement under formation lap penalty that he got at the start. So from him, it's all about, you know, just making it all the way back up there. Now here, Jurika Slovinac, trying to defend from Sheldon Scott Muscat. He, of course, on his own recovery drive, and now looking for the outside, maybe hoping that Jurica is going to make a little bit of a mistake there, but very wide there, and clearly struggling to find the grip with the Porsche in these corners here. And look at this now, the Bentley is in position. The big V8 is trying to roar, but here comes the big strength of the Porsche. That rear engine always gives very, very good traction.
Absolutely. You can just see the size difference between the Porsche and the Bentley just from this angle alone. The Bentley looks terrifying as Slovenach runs slightly wide on the exit of Copse, and that's the invitation that Sheldon Muscat needed. He's not going to think twice about that one, and he takes away that position from Slovenach, then moves now up into what I think will be 14th place then for the GT Omega RPM Esports Bentley. As you said, on a recovery drive of his own, having had that spin at Beckett's, and trying to find his way back through the order. There is race 1, 4th place for Mikel Mercia. He's up into 2nd place this time around, as he's 5.6 seconds back from Chanetsky. And, you know, the Polish driver is showing everybody how it's done here with that nearly 6-second lead. We've got a battle here for 19th place. We've got Reddy and Piermitz then going down the hangar straight. And the Lamborghini having to defend the inside line. It's not the line where you really want to take, because it's going to be a lot of understeer going through here. You have to slow the car down quite a lot. Silver Piermitz goes round the outside. He goes a little bit off the track, then rejoins it, but will take the position as we now make our way towards this club corner section. And so that is Reddy down to 20th place at Silver Piermitz, up to 19th.
He will have to watch out, though, because as we saw it already from Kersten Abeya, you can get these penalties even in a 20-minute race, even if it's only with, well, the current time left. I would argue it's probably 3 laps left after we completed this one. That is still plenty of time to find another 2 excursions if he is on his first warning. And of course, you don't want that to happen. So maybe a bit less throttle, a little bit more staying on the road. But either way, good move done from Silver Piermitz.
There you go. You see, there's great tips here from Nico Hillebrand just to try and keep that car on the track. Kirsten Abeya with a drive-through penalty. So it's going to drop him all the way down the order. And we're just under 4 minutes to go. If you've enjoyed the action so far, there's plenty more to come on the radar. And for all that schedule and all the events coming up, you can visit worldproracing.com/events to know when the next races are coming, and maybe even try your hand at them. We've got weekly casual races, special events and championships on PC and PS4 throughout the year. Whether you're first trying it for the very first time or you're a seasoned pro, you can come along and have a try here at World Pro Racing, as Banny goes a little bit wide on the exit of Stowe Corner, and that is Spence Robb who says thank you very much. But there is another drive-through penalty awarded, this time to Clyde Banny, so his chances of a podium have all been sunk.
Yeah, definitely very unfortunate for him, and that is just what I said. You know, sadly, I think, does he still qualify as commentator's cursed?
Well, I think it does. I think it does. Yeah, it will. And it's a drive-through penalty awarded at this late stage. It's probably going to be a time penalty added to the end of his race, if he can see it that way. Ligriston then under pressure from Peter Dombre in the number 888 car, going in towards Stowe Corner. And you can see there Ligriston having to take the wider line. You have to scrub off a little bit more speed to keep it within track limits. And there is Peter Dombre now up into 21st place in that Ferrari. There is Artur Chanetsky then, as we make our way through the penultimate corner, going through Woodcote, the final corner, to cross the start-finish line. And I think, Nico, you're going to be absolutely right. We're going to get 2 more laps of racing here. So Artur Chanetsky then, 58.2 at his last lap then, within 7/10 of his own personal best. So it's pretty consistent there. Mikel Mercia then also pretty consistent as well, within half a second of his best lap time, and he's under pressure from Spence Robb as we now wake our way and wind ourselves down for the last 120 seconds here at Silverstone for race number 2. Don't forget, we've got one more race coming up for you, so it's not over until it's over, and it's not over yet. I can guarantee you that. We've got more racing action coming up. Mercia then in second place right now. Spence Robb right behind. Now, if you're in Mercia's position, do you simply let Spence Robb go? Because the car behind has got a 5-second penalty and Banny's got a drive-through penalty, which if that's converted to an after-the-race penalty, which it most likely will be, that's 30 seconds.
It's a difficult call to make, because obviously when you get second place, you want to cross the line in second. So I could absolutely understand him if he just decides to stay in front. However, the thing is here, last time he was fortunate to catch it. He lost overall, I think, around 2.5 seconds in that context. That's for Mercia, of course. But, yeah, so in this case, if he would catch it like this again, he would still come in front of Spence Robb if it came to a collision again. And, look at that Bentley on the brakes. Spence Robb definitely not scared of, maybe the ABS messing up again. He's still driving on full attack mode, so yeah. It would be maybe a smart thing to let him through completely, but you see this gap that he just opened up again, so to be honest, I don't really see a reason to just completely let Spence Robb and Barney through.
We saw there in the picture-in-picture, I believe that was Jan Ryler getting a move then on Planas to move himself now up into 10th place in that Euro Racing Team McLaren, the number 149. There is Johan Planas then in the Toda Torino Racing Ferraris. Under pressure though from James Mead though, going through Luffield and then towards Woodcote we will go. Back onto the power then as we have started the final lap of this race. We're going to go side by side. James Mead wants to go side by side, maybe towards Copse Corner. There is Artur Shanetsky then, who is leading this way by 7 seconds here, and he's got there 3 cars behind him. 2 of them have penalties. Johan Planas then trying to hold off as much as possible, going through Maggots and then through Beckett's. James Mead all over the back of that Ferrari then, try and put the Ferrari, make him think twice. As we now head our way on towards the hangar straight, but slightly onto the grass for the Todoterrano Racing Ferrari. That could be the invitation that James Mead needs. It is the invitation that James Mead needs, and he moves now up into 11th place. Sheldon Muscat will be seeing that and thinking about the next move. Ashton Cox and Slovenach then battling away for 14th place as they now make their way towards Copse Corner. Just like the end of the last race, we've got all the action happening at the very end of this race. The timer has expired then, and we are expecting our race leader. There he is, Artur Shanetsky then making his way now through the loop. So not long then for the Polish driver to make his way now around the final couple of corners. He can enjoy this last sector as he makes his way through Aintree, onwards then towards the Wellington Straight before he has to line up Luffield, Brooklands and then Woodcote. Not necessarily, of course, in that order, because Brooklands here comes first. Enjoying that last left-hander then. In towards Luffield we will go, and building up the power one more time in this race at least for Artur Shanetsky. He's shown the pace that he missed out on in the first one through the final corner towards the checkered flag. Artur Shanetsky wins race 2 here at Silverstone for the World Pro Racing Mega Sprint Tuesdays. Mikel Mercia crosses the line to take 2nd place. Spence Robb finishes 3rd out on track. Bani will finish in 4th on track, but will fall down the order to that 30-second penalty. Spence Robb, well, it looks like he's not going to hold on to that 3rd place. Markek looks like he's going to take away that podium place. James Mead then finishing in 11th place there, just ahead of Sheldon Muscat. Once again, we've got battles up and down the field. Silver Pyramids having to hold on to 17th place from Zara for that position. Stephen Johnson under pressure from Peter Dombre as we make our way now towards the final couple of corners, chucking the car in towards Brooklands here, but Stephen Johnson runs a little bit too deep. That could be a free position there for Peter Dombre. Looks like it's going to be for the Treble 8 Ferrari. Just has to keep it all together then as we make our way through Luffield back onto the power. That is going to be a position for the Belgian then as he now makes his way towards Woodcote. Towards the line they go. They're going to run closer than ever, and Peter Dobre just about pips Johnston to the line and takes away that top 20 position. But throughout that race then, we had action, we had drama, and a race leader who felt it was the most comfortable drive of his life. Artur Shanetsky then takes the win for race number 2. A great battle for that 2nd place, with 3 of those drivers, albeit 2 of them having a time penalty at the very end of the race to take on board. But great racing action out there, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. One thing I couldn't help but notice, the drive-through penalty for Barney, he tried to get it at the very last lap, so trying to pull what Michael Schumacher did with the stop-and-go penalty at Silverstone before, but sadly for ACC it doesn't quite work that way, because you have to deliver the entire drive-through penalty, and obviously since he didn't go through the entire pit lane, sadly that gets cleared at the end of the pit lane, and the 30 seconds got added anyway.
Yes, and of course that means that those rules were changed for that exact scenario, as you just mentioned there, Michael Schumacher taking that stop-and-go penalty, taking it on the very final lap, but they argued that because he was in the pit lane before the start-finish line, it was a confusing time to be a Formula 1 fan, that is for sure, but that's why the rules were changed. And we had a great race then. We're going to recover from that one, gather our thoughts and get ourselves ready for race number 3 here at World Pro Racing for our Mega Sprint Tuesdays at Silverstone. We'll be back after these messages and we'll see you for some more racing action after this. Welcome back then to World Pro Racing here on Mega Sprint Tuesdays. We've got race 3 coming up very, very shortly. 2 races that have been action-packed, and we can tell you right now that it is very, very close at the top of the standings right about now. Nico, it just sums up how close this has been all night.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, honestly, since this is only the first 3 rounds of, I think, overall 21 races, that is, well, we're in for some fun, I'd say.
Absolutely. So we've got Reece Spence, Rob and Markek both on 57 points. Murch on 56 points. Vanny on 53. So even after his 30-second penalty he had there, with that drive-through being converted to 30 seconds, what a day it could have been for Vanny. He could have been in the lead of this championship by a long, long way. But as you said, because it's multiple rounds, there's multiple races, there's plenty of points on offer. It sort of allows you to have at least one bad race.
Yeah, for sure. And quite honestly, I can't wait to look back on this entire championship, or well, mini championship, so to say, at the end, just to see, people who got penalties, where they could have ended up instead, and maybe what positions they would have ended up, because I'm sure that we'll have a lot of positions by the end of this where it's like 1-2 points, and it's like, oh, well, if only that hadn't been for that 5-second penalty.
Absolutely, and that's what it could come down to at the very end of the season. You just never know. But if you put in some good performances, chances are you're going to be high up the order. And of course, here at World Pro Racing, the stream sponsored by Gaming Malta, HyperX, AMD, GT Omega and Thrustmaster. So looking forward to getting back into the racing action, which should be very, very shortly. Nico, you've seen some drivers out there who've been pretty quick, but there's one Polish driver. It looks like he was on the pace in that one.
Yeah, definitely. And Artur Jamecki, absolutely perfect consistency, perfect race. And we actually saw very nicely, he was by himself the entire race. So he just had a very nice drive, could consistently, well, go for his preferred lines. And we saw it actually at the time he crossed the line for the last lap. Was instead of like 5 seconds, it was 15 seconds. So that basically sums up how much time you can lose while racing each other. However, let's not think about that. Next race is coming up.
Next race is coming up. We're about to go green flag racing here. Green flag is out. We are racing then. Janetsky, once again, on your left-hand side of your screen, grabs the inside line for Copse Corner for the first turn. We go racing for the 3rd time here tonight at Silverstone. Does everybody make it through okay? From these camera angles, it looks like just about, as the green flags fly then, as Janetsky looks to try and make it back-to-back wins. Sheldon Muscat then trying to find his way through the order. Sandro Zara then in the open for offers Honda, the number 12 car, in 19th place at the moment, it appears on our timing screen. So that'll update as soon as we get past that first sector, but it's almost 2 wide, some 3 wide in the background then, going down the hanger straight for the very first time. But Janetsky then obviously has the start line. We have lost Hamada Akizi since that first race, so he's got that front row to himself and he uses it to his advantage. Sheldon Muscat watching this battle here between Markek and I think that's Jan-Nicholas Erbrich then, as a couple of cars go wide on the first lap of this race. No surprises there as we've got a car going through there, a little bit of contact. The 505 gets a little bit of a beating there, but there's a car around. You can just see in the picture-in-picture trying to recover the car. We'll try and confirm who that one is as we get it, but we'll see now. David Ohak tackling, going through Abbey and then through Farm in 5th place right about now, but he's under pressure then from Malsharek going in towards that heavy braking zone. Peter Dombre then trying to find his way up the order, finding a way past Wojciech Nerverth as he now makes his way now up into 19th place, soon back down to 20th as Nerverth gets a move down the inside. Peter Dombre has a snap there. The Ferrari not happy with the amount of grip there. Markek, meanwhile, gets a bit of a tap then from the McLaren behind, finds himself around, locks on those brakes, and I think it was Dean Vella who tapped the back of him. In turn, Silver Piermitz tries a move up the inside, going in towards Brooklands, gets the move done. Dean Vella then goes down into 10th place. No doubt the stewards will want to have a look at that one. Meanwhile, then we've got Jan-Nicholas Erbrich and Malsharek going side by side. That battle for 6th place, it's all going off. Wherever you look, there's a battle going on.
Yeah, actually it's Ohak, so Malsharek somewhere at some point in the last sector got past Ohak, and now Ohak obviously still seemingly a little bit impeded by all of that, now about to fall into the claws of Erbrich if everything goes by Erbrich's way. But yeah, Dean Vella trying to do his best to out-accelerate his fellow McLaren driver there and, well, misjudging that gap a little bit. Let's see, though, that it was earlier in the lap. That was at Vale. And you can see here already that it's Pirmetz just outbraking himself, and then a completely different incident just over here.
Yeah, so it was Silver Pirmetz who lost his braking point there, missed it, and it just sort of caused that little bit of a Constantino effect. And unfortunately for Jan Ryler, he was one that ended up the worst out of it. So Silver Pirmetz in 9th place, causing an unfortunate chain reaction with his late braking, but he is in 9th place at this moment in time. Dean Vella also in 10th place, made contact with the car going down the Wellington Straight. There's Pritpana then trying to hold off Elbrecht then as we make our way now in towards this club corner section. Leaves the gap open, does the Estonian, and the number 8 Ferrari in that various artists. Ferrari going side by side through. Oh, there we go. There's contact. Elbrecht finds himself now around in the number 89 car. The two Estonians hit each other. And in the Carmel Racing Aston Martin, nobody behind him, so he can reverse out there. That's not a problem. Johan Planas then trying to find a move there in the Toto Terrano Racing Ferrari. As we now make our way back up through the gears, Kirsten Ebea looks like it's got the move done up into 11th place, but for how much longer? Mikael Mercia is under pressure then from Spence Robb, going our way now in through Luffield. Back onto the power once again as we head our way towards Woodcote, but it's Janetsky still leading the way, 1.6 seconds, a bit of a deja vu moment at this moment in time, as Janetsky looks to just try and keep the pace, keep his head down, and build that gap as much as possible. And this battle for second place is so familiar from the last race.
And the race before that, so...
Absolutely. Slovinac then making his way through and making his way up, the Croatian up to 13th place as Planas moves down to 14th. So the Croatian now sets his sights on Wojciech Neuwirth. Up ahead, Jan-Niklas Erbrich then has got Sheldon Muscat for company as we head now towards the long Hager Straight. As we then make our way towards Copse Corner. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this racing action, why don't you come and join us on worldproracing.com. There's plenty of races to look through, weekly casual races, special events and championships on PC and PS4 throughout the years. You could be performing some moves like this as Spence Robb goes up the inside and takes away second place from Murcia then, and the Boatley Bentley moves up into second place. A fine move from Rhys Spence Robb.
Yeah, indeed. Raced his car very nicely there, and just as the switchover came for that King out of Stowe, you know, he just placed it perfectly, was at the right place, right time, and I think at the same time, Clayton Barney right behind him, I think he was rather caught out by Mejia, just currently, well, just suddenly having to avoid it a little bit and leave space for the Bentley as well.
There's Stephen Johnson then, who's currently in 14th place in the RDS Aston Martin. He's got a Ferrari for company. That's actually Planas, so he's moved up a position. James Mead then having to try and hold off cars all the way through. The number 47 there of Ligreston trying to find a way through. That's for 19th places. James Mead now will have a little bit of a slipstream here from the car in front. That's the Honda of Zara then, as Peter Tombre fancies a look up the inside. Doesn't go through with it though. Wojciech Neuwirth got the inside line now as we head through Luffield as he battles away then with Slovinac. Back onto the power we will go then, and Jurica Slovinac just can't quite find that move just yet. Ashton Cox in the Ashtar racing car is under pressure then as we make our way through. I think that is Matas Markek as well, trying to find a way past the Ashtar racing car. No, it's not, it's Jan Ryler, my apologies. So Ashton Cox has got the move done on Jan Ryler. We've got a car off in the background there.
That was Ohak, I think, yes.
It was David Ohak. You're absolutely right. So Ohak finds foul once again of the Maggots and Beckett's complex and falls down the order. It's nowhere near the amount of positions he lost in race 1, but it's still a dagger to his heart then in race 3.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a habit because, you know, it's obviously only 2 errors he has made, but, you know, it's a bit hard to drop, and it's just so easy in contrast to just lose the rhythm through Maggots and Beckett's just once, and it will definitely just lose you so much time as soon as you just make that one little mistake.
There's Wojciech Neuwirth then, 12th place in the Team Shark Aston Martin. Let's have a look at a replay then. So this is David Ohak, so this is how it happened then. Currently, or was, in 6th place before this happened. He goes now in towards Beckett's, takes a little bit too much curve and the car snaps on him there. Manages to gather it up, but he has to take a quick trip across the gravel and across the grass. So could have been a lot worse for David O'Hack. He could have lost the car completely, but it just looked like the car reached its limit of grip there, and the curb just made it worse.
Yeah, actually, I think ironically enough, this was the same curb that he hit in race 1. So this time, obviously, you know, way better salvage of it, you know, only losing 2 places instead of what was around 20. And, you know, making it still to keep it stable and make it over the grass back to the track.
We're going 3 wide as we make our way now towards this left-hander of Brooklands. And there you can see Peter Dombrey's got the move done. Fantastic move from the Belgian. Now gets 2 positions up there in the SRG Ferrari. Up to 14th place he goes, and will try and leave everyone else behind. Planas then doesn't know what hit the Ferrari and stays where they were. Johnson, though, falls 2 positions as Peter Dombrey charges his way through. Then we have seen a 5-second penalty being awarded to Silver Pyramids. We'll get onto that in a second because we've got Gautam Reddy under attack from James Mead. We're still going side by side further up the field as well, as Peter Dombrey is under pressure then from Planas, but Planas takes a little bit of curb there, and Peter Dombrey's off straight on at the Maggot Beckett section. Will rejoin at Chapel, but he'll lose a load of positions, and all that hard work he put in going 3 wide, going through Brooklands, has all been undone and more.
Yeah, and as we saw an error, and you know, we're speaking of errors to be made, Silver Pyramids has meanwhile been awarded 5 seconds of penalty for his error at lap 1. And, well, it just keeps on going, because now the 172 of Reddy has just gotten spun around, but luckily outside the way of other cars, so no further harm to himself or others.
Absolutely. Dean Vella just trying to keep that car in check going through Abbey then. A little bit of twitchy from that GT Omega RBM Esports McLaren. He's under pressure as well from Kirsten Abaya. Let's have a replay here. So this is Jan Ryler. So he's already been in the wars once in this race as we make our way now through Copse Corner. He's got Ashton Cox behind him. Let's see what happens going through Copse. Oh, that car snapped on him there. And he does brush the wall there. So that doesn't look like there's going to be too much damage to Jan Ryler's car. But his race 3 here has just gone from bad to even worse.
Yeah, luckily not too big of an accident. But still, nevertheless, that damage will still probably impede him, as we have once again side-by-side action all the way down the order here. And I think that was Ashton Cox running a little bit wide, actually. Yeah, it is. Here we are. From actually a couple races ago, what seemed to be quite a crowd favorite, at least when it came to, you know, my commentary with him involved. But either way, making for solid consistency currently, and trying to obviously still hang on to Lagerston right up ahead, which he seems to have quite good chances of.
Yep, Jan-Nicholas Erbrich is under pressure once again from Sheldon Muscat in that intimidating Bentley then. Going all the way through in towards Stowe. He's trying to go round the outside. Is Sheldon Muscat in the number 14 Bentley, and Nicholas Erbrich not going to let him rejoin that easily. They still run side by side then in towards the club corner section. Muscat here leaves the Lamborghini room on the inside. He'll have the outside line then, but Erbrich has the momentum to keep him ahead as we head on towards the Hamilton Straight. But these two are going to be battling hard for the next few minutes at the very least, and Jan-Nicholas Erbrich not willing to give that Bentley an inch there. Once again running our way in towards club corner. There's Dombrey up the inside. He's got the 505 of James Mead to his right, and still on the right then number 47 trying to find a way up the inside. Ligreston that was, who had to back out of that one. Peter Dombrey running wide going through there, and Ligreston having to break there, and he's collected by one of the McLarens there, gone all the way around. And I'll just try and see who that is. It's that purple one. I think it was Markek. Yeah, there. Going through, so whether, not sure what happened there. Didn't get the best camera angle for myself. A bit of a corner of the eye moment for me, but that looked like Elbrecht there. Sorry, Jan Ryler. Unfortunately, finds himself once again. Peter Dombrey trying to find an inside move then, or to at least to defend the inside line. Going in towards Brooklands there, trying to hold off from the 85 of Johnson then. As you can see, that Ashton Cox runs wide yet again. This time he just about keeps it in check. Meanwhile, Stephen Johnson goes for a bit of a rallycross ride across the grass. and manages to rejoin, but he's lost a lot of momentum. Meanwhile, then Markek has tried to keep his head down, moving now up into 16th place.
I see a yellow flag at Maggots and Beckett, and I see the 44 very, very slow. And I think Czarnecki has just lost it. That is now Spence Robb up into first place then. Mathieu in second, and Barney right behind him in third place.
Yeah, Artur Shanetsky then. We've also got the number 158. That's Ashton Cox, who's around on the exit of Cops there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Clyde Barney then battling away for second place with Murcia then up the inside. He's got then, but you can see Murcia's got the outside line onto the curb. A rough ride there as we make our way towards Abbey and Farm. Murcia then backs out of that one, lets Barney have the line. But you can see then overdriving the corner. This is where Murcia will try and have a move back then. Up we go towards the right-hander here as we now make our way through and then towards the loop. This long left-hander here, slowest part of the circuit, to try and find a good line through there. Jan-Nicholas Erbrich and Sheldon Muscat, with that mistake then from Shanetsky, move now up into 5th and 6th place respectively. So their battle continues on, and for a higher position at that. We have got 6.5 minutes left of this race to go. Clyde Barney there in second place, but it is Spence Robb, Spence Robb, leading this way in the Bentley. It's Barney in second place. There's Murcia in third place. Malsharek in fourth with Jan-Nicholas Erbrich in fifth. Muscat in sixth with Piermitz in seventh place, although a 5-second penalty will be added to the end of their race. Vela in eighth, Ohak in ninth, and Shanetsky at least in 10th place. Let's see what he can do, the Polish driver. He's trying to make his way back up the order. Would love to see what happened to the Polish driver, if possible. But it looks like somewhere through Maggots and Beckett, he must have got it wrong.
And actually, speaking of the Polish driver that got it wrong, Czarnecki right now in his Ferrari behind the other Ferrari that lost his time in Maggots and Beckett, and only 3/10 behind him at that. So if we could get a camera on that would be perfect as well, because they will be close, I imagine.
They will be, as Jan-Nicholas Erbrich 5th place right now. Sheldon Muscat in 6th, once again making our way on towards Stowe Corner. This fast right-hander. You love to see a move around the outside here, but not this time from Sheldon Muscat. Actually has to back out, maybe lose a bit of momentum as well through Stowe Corner. And look at that, that gap has just slightly built in favour of Jan-Nicholas Erbrich. Then that's what he wants to be doing. Got a replay here, so this is what happened to our race leader, number 44, Artur Shanetsky. Making our way now through in towards this Maggots and Beckett's complex. Oh yeah, caught the sleeping policeman, went straight on. And as he rejoined, the back end just gave way.
Yeah, it's just that little bump that you get when you drive over a green strip here. It does look completely flat, but obviously, you know, normal unbridled earth and grass, it's not quite as smooth as tarmac. And of course, the same curb again, so maybe this is just a cursed curb for Ferraris.
Well, Dean Vella looking up the inside then of David Ohak. He's got that position. David Ohak will lose 2 positions in the space of pretty much 1 corner as Shanetsky gets a move done and up into 9th place. So what this means for Artur Shanetsky is he needs to just get up the field as high as possible now to get to the end of the race. Just to bring you up to speed with a couple of penalties. The number 8 car, that's of Preet Parna, will be getting a 5-second penalty for an avoidable incident with the number 89 car. That's what the stewards have reported back. So 5 seconds added to the number 8 car. And then the number 158, which I believe was Ashton Cox, gets a drive-through penalty for a dive bomb and causing an incident. So that will be a harsh penalty there added, but the stewards have warranted a fair penalty as well for that dive bomb. I don't think that's something we saw. That's something that's been reported by the stewards and has been dealt with as such. Yeah, Jan-Nicholas Erbrich then, 5th place, still hanging on to that 5th place because Sheldon Muscat in that massive, intimidating Bentley wants that move then. Where will he go? He'll go to the left-hand side of the track, round the long way round at Stowe, but he won't quite get that move done. Dean Vella is having to defend from Shanetsky then in towards Stowe Corner. A little bit of flash of the lights from the Ferrari behind as Dean Vella tries to hold on to 8th place, but we've already seen how quick Shanetsky is around here. And we know he can get those positions back as well. Once again, the battle focuses on that battle for 5th place. Jan-Nicholas Erbrich, Sheldon Muscat here in the final 3 minutes of this race, making our way through Abbey and then through Farm Corner. Sheldon Muscat's got a great run here. Will he try and move down the inside? No, he'll go the long way round. into towards the right-hander. Will he run a little bit too deep? Yeah, he gets onto that little bit of AstroTurf, and there you can see Jan-Niklas Erbrich shuts the door of the loop. No way through there for Sheldon Muscat. A glimpse of hope then for Muscat, but he couldn't quite slow that car down in time.
Yeah, a bit too optimistic on that braking point, but I think that is really something, you know, I love seeing those two guys battle because, you know, they're basically two regulars over here to people that are switching for the first time. And, you know, at the same time, you know, they don't have the same one-lap speed like, for example, well, Shametsky or Akwizi, but, you know, these guys fight hard. They fight with all of their heart as well. And, you know, but they still stay fair. So it's just really great to always see these guys head-to-head, toe-to-toe. And this, once again, you know, that no incident was there, just absolutely incredible.
So we've got Jan Ryler here. We've got a replay going in towards Stowe, 21st place. And, oh, there's contact there between himself and I think that was Reddy in the Lamborghini. Going in towards Stowe, door to door. And they've both come off in a little bit of a half spin there. And Jan Ryler, it's really not been his race whatsoever. As there's your race leader in the team Boatley Bentley, Reese Spence Robb in the number 48 car, making his way now on towards this club corner section as we wind down the last 80 seconds of this race as he just tries to keep that car under control for just a couple more laps. Jan-Niklas Erbrich then still hanging on to 5th place. Sheldon Muscat is not making his life easy at all, going through this club corner section, through this fast right-hander, which takes us then onto the Hamilton Straight. And it seems like whatever Sheldon Muscat is throwing at Jan-Niklas Erbrich, Jan-Niklas has an answer.
Yeah, and the answer tends to be correct as well.
Yeah, but he lost the car there. Just slightly uneasy was that Bentley. Couldn't quite keep it under control. And Erbrich, once again, takes full advantage of that and keeps a hold of that position. We've got the race leader then coming around the Luffield, I think that is, through that long right-hander, Reese Spence Robb. So he will go through and he will start the final lap of this race this time around. He makes his way now through that final corner of Woodcote on towards the start-finish line, and with 13 seconds remaining on the clock, he does start the final lap of this race and trying to take his second race win here at Silverstone tonight. He's only got around about 5 and a bit kilometres to go to make it a second race win out of 3.
Well, and it's going to be perfect for him because, as we saw earlier, he's currently the points leader, and the one he's joined with, Marikek, he is down in 16th, so for Reese Spence Robb, everything has worked out this time around. And, you know, this time he's just trying to coast it back into the finish line and just enjoy life, so to say. Two guys who won't be doing that, will, for once, be Jan-Niklas Erbrich and Sheldon Scott Muscat, but also, as it seems, Mr. Slovinac here, who was having a rather, and is still having a rather tough time there with the Porsche, well, having a little bit too much rotation for his taste.
Yeah, you've got now Jan-Niklas Erbrich once again having to defend from Muscat. Muscat wanted to go down the inside, then trying to find a way round the outside. And that Lamborghini is the widest Lamborghini I think Silverstone has ever seen. Jan-Niklas Erbrich is doing everything he can to keep Muscat behind him. And Muscat here must be getting that little bit frustrated that he can't find a way past. He's just got to try and keep his cool here and not overcook anything. As we see then Reese Spence Robb on through the final couple of corners. He now makes his way through Aintree and onwards towards the Wellington Straight. You can see the picture-in-picture. We've got battles going on further down the field. That's a battle for 14th place here. Kirsten Abeya having to hold on against James Mead and Markek then as they make their way through in towards Abbey and then through Farm as they try and find their way through then. Battles for points here. All these positions are point scoring positions. We now focus back on the race leader of Reese Spence Robb in the team Boatley Bentley. He wins the second race of his night here at Silverstone, and another 30 points will be heading back with him. A good drive from Spence Robb, a good move early on in the race, meant he took the race lead and never looked back. Bunny in second place, Murcia in third, Malshrek in fourth, Erbrick holding on to the line by 0.3 of a second to get that fifth place. Meanwhile, it's all a bit hectic as we make our way towards the line, but it's Piermitz in seventh with a 5-second penalty. That's going to drop him way down the order. Shanetsky recovers to 8th place, Dean Vella in 9th, David Ohak in 10th place. Kirsten Abaya is just about going to hold off on 14th place. Kirsten Abaya takes advantage then as we make our way through. Sorry, James Mead took advantage then of Markek getting a bad exit out of Luffield. And Sandro Zaha in the open for offers Honda will finish in 17th place. Stephen Johnson having to hold off of Peter Dombre then as they head their way towards the line. Stephen Johnson finishes ahead of Peter Dombre then for 18th and 19th place respectively. But Reece Spence Robb wins his second race here of the evening and of the event. A good drive from him, and he had that really good move on Murcia early on in the race. The mistake then from Shanetsky gifted him the race lead, and he never looked back.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive. A very good time for the Boatley, despite it being absolutely dry here at Silverstone. But, yeah, just absolutely perfectly solved. And as I said, you know, before, driving the Bentley here, you can throw it into corners like no other. And absolute fun to drive around here. And I think Spence Robb definitely had the same opinion of this car here as well.
Definitely, and you know, he showed it there. He had a little bit of a struggle in that first race. Of course, he made contact, still came home to get the win, had to take a 5-second penalty for the next race, and then goes on to the third race to take another race win. So all in all, a pretty decent day for him.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you know, something with a penalty like that, or with the collision with Mechia in the first race, sometimes that can dampen spirits a little bit, because of course it's, you know, it's unfortunate that something like that happens, but that's racing. Something like that can happen. But he didn't let it get him down, and he just kept on racing and did so very brilliantly.
Yes, he did. And unfortunately, our pole sitter in Hamada Akizi, well, for the first race, he got that damage and then decided to take no further part, which was a real shame. What it meant, though, was that the Polish driver of Shanetsky had the front row all to himself on the next two races, and he took advantage of that as when he could. In the third race, though, things didn't go his way.
Yeah, and that is, I think that's one of the things about Silverstone. It's a track that is very well known, so it's not the most difficult track to drive as well, but it's a very difficult track to drive fast and hard and consistently at the same time. And I think especially that inside curb at turn 11, you try to take a lot of it. So you try to make this little section there as straight as possible to just try and stay flat out, because in quali trim I know that it is flat out in some cars, which is a scary thing to do. But just take a little bit too much, and we saw what can happen. So it's always just about assessing the risk that you can take and assessing the risk that you must take. And, well, both risks were too big in this moment.
Yeah, it was mainly a risk and reward thing, wasn't it? And those who took the risk had to run it, and those who were successful with it came off. I mean, Peter Dombre went 3 wide as we headed our way towards Brooklands, and then just a couple of kilometres later he makes a mistake and undoes all that hard work and more. I mean, it was a great move to start with, but he just couldn't put the bow on it.
And that is, of course, the thing as well. You have to be fast consistently. If you're only fast over one lap, that one lap will be absolutely stunning, but as soon as that one lap is over and you do that mistake, after that it's going to be a world of hurt, and of course that's a bit sad, but hopefully also an incentive for people to, you know, keep on improving, because no one's ever perfect at racing. That is the wonderful thing about it. Everyone makes mistakes at some point.
Absolutely. Couldn't put it better myself. And if you've enjoyed that action, make sure you head over to worldproracing.com/events, where you can see what events we have up next. If the Mega Sprint Tuesday sounds like something that you want to try, or Tuesday the 4th of May, put it in your diaries at the Hungaroring. That's the next time Mega Sprint Tuesdays is coming up. We've also got the French Special, which is on Saturday. It's an invitation-only event for top French sim racers and streamers. So that'd be very one to watch for sure. So you see some top French talent out there. there. And the McLaren Showdown Casual Race, that's on Tuesday the 27th of April. And don't forget as well the HyperX Open Series race number 2 at Silverstone, Friday the 7th of May. That is a fully stacked grid there, prizes on offer for the top 3. So it's a very, very good event. I really do recommend watching them because there is some top class driving out there. I believe we do have Adrian in the box then. And Adrian, if you can hear us, welcome along. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. It's a good race today, let's put it this way. Definitely we enjoyed it. I think it served the purpose of the format we put together, where we saw some actually clean races from the drivers. We're quite happy. Obviously there were some incidents, but some of them actually were racing incidents, and some of them maybe were a little bit more overboard, but not something so serious.
Absolutely. And when it comes to sprint racing, obviously you've brought in this newer penalty system where if an incident happens in the last 5 minutes of the race, it's a penalty for the next race. We saw that happen with one of the race winners today. I mean, how do you think that penalty structure affects the races here today?
I think actually it did it did affect, because we saw the drivers actually keeping it clean till the end. Obviously enough taking care for the result for the next race coming up. So I think, yes, this format actually worked.
Absolutely. And, how will this affect the races going forward? I mean, we've seen it in Mega Sprint Tuesdays. Is there any intention to bring this sort of system into other races?
We need to see, actually, because some races you could keep them with the normal system, you know what I mean? But as these are like 3 short sprint races, I think the system does actually work. Obviously enough in other races and championships, when you're running only one race, you need to stick to the original formats.
I will say, Adrian, I don't envy you in the briefing room when you're giving that briefing. Copse Corner being the first corner sounds like my idea of a nightmare, especially with 25, 26 cars on the grid. What are you telling the drivers going into turn 1 there each and every time? Oh, I think we've unfortunately lost him, but...
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. No, actually, yes, it's something that we stress a lot during the briefing, that we say, listen, first of all, no race is won in the first few corners. It's not only T1, but the first few corners. And obviously, enough to tell them will be obviously watching you closely. And I think it makes sense. It's like it won't ruin their own race, and obviously they don't ruin the race of others, and enjoy the race. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's something, apart from being competitive, you need to enjoy yourself and enjoy the rest till the end.
Well, Adrian, we hope you've enjoyed yourself in the stewarding box, and it was a pleasure to talk to you, and we will hopefully hear from you and see you in the near future.
Yeah, thank you guys, obviously enough for the great commentary, and thanks to all the drivers and our followers here. Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And that's our race director there, Adrian Figallo, who was keeping a close eye on proceedings alongside him, George Muscat, as well in the stewarding booth. And they had a bit to do tonight, not as much as a sprint racing series, which have you believe, but they were busy enough.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure. Especially just overall, let's say it like this, sprint racing, I think I was a bit over dramatic in the end with my assessment, so to say. So, we had it a lot cleaner, but we had it very clean as well, but I think we still had the hard racing that I thought we would have, just with, people being more risk aware, so to say. And it was very nice to watch. We had a lot of fun battles, and I can't wait for the next race.
Absolutely, and the next race of Mega Sprint Tuesdays, as we've already said, is the Hungaroring. That'll be on the 4th of May. There are slots available. If you fancy your arm, if you fancy your chances, why don't you head over to the website, worldproracing.com, sign yourself up, whether it's your first race or you're a seasoned pro. There's no harm in having a look and seeing what takes your fancy out there. And we have a couple of, I believe we have an interviewee in our commentary box here. It's the 2-time race winner of this event so far, Reese Spence Robb. Reese, can you hear us?
I've got you.
Reese, well, congratulations on your 2 race wins today. My question, first of all, is for race number 1, where towards the end there we had that contact in the last 5 minutes. You won the race, 5-second penalty added to your next one. I mean, mix of emotions, surely, then, and in the end of race 1 and the start of race 2.
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, just towards the end of race 1, I think there was a little bit of contact, and unfortunately, when it comes down to the end of these races, and obviously with them only being sprint races, everything's on the line, and I think it was just a combination of just the McLaren braking a little bit too early, and me braking a little bit too late, and the closing speed was a bit too much for me to judge. It nothing intentional, but it's not obviously a way that I wanted to win the race, but yeah, just had to try and hang on in the second race and try and build that gap with the 5-second penalty, but tried to make the most of it, and it was a bit more damage limitation there in the second race.
And then let's come on to your third, because I don't think anybody can take that victory away from you. It was a great move for what was at the time second place, and then we had the spin there from Shanetsky, which then handed you the race victory. And again, you built that lead. No one could take that away from you.
Yeah, I think I got past Banny on the first corner, and me and him are actually teammates in the SimGrid Sprint Cup, so I know his style very well, so we were able to race each other quite hard, and yeah, it was just a case of trying to get past the McLaren again, and it was just the point where I had to try and fake a move and just dive down the inside and hope that he was going to leave me the space. I don't think there was another way. I'd been stuck behind him for nearly 3 races at that point, but yeah, obviously it's unfortunate for the Ferrari spinning. And because he was really quick, I don't think I would have been able to catch him at all. So yeah, shame for him. But yeah, I thought I drove quite well on that one. I didn't expect coming into this weekend. I didn't expect anything of my pace. I was just going to see where I was on the grid. But yeah, I surprised myself with the first race win, especially.
Well, it's with the 2 race wins, you now find yourself at the top of the standings. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, this is only, I think, my 5th event coming into esports after coming over to ACC. So, yeah, it's just really, really positive, and yeah, I just can't wait to get into the next one. Obviously, it's early days at the moment, but yeah, we're in really good spirits going into the next one.
Well, congratulations, Reese. You're now leading Mega Sprint Tuesdays. The floor is yours for any shout-outs, any sponsors you'd like to thank.
Just the Team Odyssey. I think there were quite a few of us on the grid tonight, but yeah, just all the guys. We always work so hard, and getting working on the setups and just everything to do with that team is brilliant. So a big shout out to them. They were behind most of it tonight. I have to say, it was a team victory more than anything.
Well, congratulations, Reese. We'll leave you now to celebrate with your team and celebrate on your own. Congratulations today. Well done.
Lovely. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time. Take care.
And Nico, I'm going to hand over to you. Who have you got down there?
I've got Mikael here. And, well, Mikael, I've seen you on, as Reese said, on the SimGrid earlier as well, a couple of days ago already. Saw that you made the change from PS4 to PC. And first of all, welcome over here on this side. And I'm really happy to see you, apparently really enjoying yourself.
Good evening, everyone. So, yeah, made the change from PS to PC. Obviously, it's been a learning curve. The last event was a bit of a disaster, coming bottom half of the field, but now a bit of training, a bit of getting used to the platform. It's actually quite different from the PlayStation version, and got a good race, and finally.
Yeah, it was definitely very good races from you overall. Very good pace as well, and very nice racecraft as well. So, overall, how would you say, jumping over from PS4 to PC, what were challenges that you were facing?
Obviously, as I said, it's similar, but in a way, it's still much more different, ACC and PC. And obviously, it took some time to get used to. Had a good qualifying pace, but in the race I was struggling a bit. Couldn't manage to get the grip I was having in quali, but overall I think it was a good experience for this. This is the 3rd time racing on PC.
Oh, well then, a very good result indeed. And yeah, as Kieran did before as well, do you have any sponsors or partners to shout out to?
No particular sponsors, or I would like just to thank my family and my friends for supporting me, also at Pro Racing for coming up with these good events and helping me to improve my performance in sim racing.
Oh yeah, that is very nice. Thank you very much then for your time, and of course, congrats to the great result. We hope to see more of you.
Cheers, see you for the next one.
Yeah,
And,
so back to you, Kieran.
Thank you very much. I've got Matas Markek then. Matas, could you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello, everybody.
Matas, welcome along. So you're currently third place in the standings, some solid points finishes. I mean, talk us through it. How are you feeling after those 3 races?
Yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed. This is the first time when I was taking part in this championship, and I really like it. But unfortunately, I had some issues in the third race. The blood was starting to go out of my nose, so it was really interesting first lap. But yeah, I'm really happy about the result.
I do like the priorities, though, that you had that problem, but you decided to keep on racing. That's a true racer right there. I mean, talk us through it. I mean, you had some great battles out there. We were going side by side at one point. I believe you grabbed a podium there in tonight's proceedings. I mean, what was your favourite overtake then, if you had to pick one? Because you had so many out there.
I had very much overtaking, but I think when I was fighting with my teammates, with Clyde and the race, it was really fun, I would say.
Absolutely. And looking at the grand scheme of things, obviously you're third place in the standings. How do you feel after that? And if you're planning to enter the Hungaroring, do you think you can take it even further than third?
I feel really good about it. I would like to, of course, I make some run into the Hungaroring already, a lot of run there, so hope I will. No, I don't have, but I'm trying to looking for someone, but to be honest, I need to grow up a little bit, so.
Well, it's great to talk to you, Matas. Congratulations on your results today, third place in the standings. We look forward to talking with you again soon.
It was really great. Thank you. See you later.
And Nico, 3 drivers were clearly very happy with tonight's proceedings, and all having slightly varying different forms of luck, different forms of ability, different forms of results, and even a nosebleed to throw in at the end of it there as well. A whole lot happened in this race, and we didn't even see everything that happened.
Yeah, and I think that's just one of the things that's the only negative about racing. You know, you can't always see what else is going on other than the stuff on the camera, because you always have only limited viewing angles. But yeah, I mean, tonight was plenty to show already why I love racing, you know? Everyone just fighting completely up to the maximum of their ability, up to the maximum of, you know, how fast they could go and how much the car could handle, and still being respectful towards each other. And, you know, just watching that really gets my blood boiling as a racer myself.
Absolutely, and we hope you've enjoyed the action as well here at World Pro Racing Mega Sprint Tuesdays. And of course, if you want to see more racing action, make sure, if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, do all of that so you make sure you don't miss any action ever again here at World Pro Racing. And if you're watching on ESTV, Motorsport TV, TVM Sport, we hope to see you again very, very soon. Don't forget as well, just been announced today, Season 3 of the ACC Sprint Series, rule changes, as well as a mix-up of a calendar. We've got Laguna Seca, Imola, Kailami, Monza, and then the season finale at Bathurst. €500 prize pool as well. If that takes your fancy, then the opening of that will be in the next few days, I'm sure. But make sure you head over to worldproracing.com/events for the rundown of all of the available events that are there for you. And of course, a big thank you to our sponsors as well in Gaming Malta, AMD, HyperX, GT Omega Racing, and Thrustmaster here at World Pro Racing. Myself, Kieran McGinley, and Nico Hillebrand, it's been a pleasure to bring these race proceedings to you, and we hope to see you again very, very soon. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and have a very good evening. Good night.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.